Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers. My name is Arun and you have started watching or listening to the AI with Arun show. In this episode, we are very thrilled to have Janardan Prasad, who is the co-founder and CEO of 101GenAI, a company that he launched to integrate generative AI, GenAI, into HealthTech workflows. He has a very impressive background, which includes roles as Distinguished Product Manager at Alteryx and the Chief Business Officer at Lore.io, both of which led to successful acquisitions. His innovative work has not gone unrecognized. In 2015, a Fast Company named him as one of the 100 most creative people in business. Janardan holds a BTech from the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Kanpur, and an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management. His expertise spans building 0 to 1 products, bringing technology and business, and driving innovation in AI and healthcare. So we're going to learn a lot about AI, entrepreneurship, and the future of health tech. So Janardan, a very warm welcome to our show.
Thanks, Arun. Thanks for having us, and congrats on all the, I would say, audience, all the knowledge that you've been sharing with the AI curious audience. So great job, and looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Janardan. And it's thanks to people like you who are kind enough to come on the show. So let's get right into the conversation, Janardan. So tell us more about 101GenAI and what was the inspiration to start this company?
Definitely, Arun. So, by the way, thanks for that, I would say, glamorous intro. Some of the audience now know my background. When I was at Alteryx, there were a lot of things going on in the AI world, and GPT came up, and a lot of things happened there. And around fall of 23 is when me and my other co-founders, we started realizing the power of generative AI, but also we realized that there are certain areas where healthcare, life sciences, where it's very, very critical. It's not like a consumer use case where the adoption was lagging for various reasons, right? I saw that as a massive opportunity to bridge the gap, to build something that's not just for entertainment or for some quick wins, but also creating some huge outcomes, right? So with that hypothesis, we started building a multi-agent system for healthcare, where it will integrate AI and generative AI into healthcare workflows, making them more efficient, making accuracy and trust that the healthcare's need, and ultimately improve the patient outcomes, right? So AI is as good as, I would say, outcomes that it generates, and in healthcare, that's super important. Overall, the inspiration came from making a big difference in people's life. Access to healthcare is a problem. Access to data sets in healthcare is a big problem. And by seeing the problem of, I would say, data sets, models, agents, all these things combined together, if you are able to improve the state of the healthcare, we call it globally, I would say like that's the true North Star that we are looking for. That if 7 billion people get access to better healthcare, if they get right information, diagnosis at the right time, that's what motivated us to start 101GenAI.
That is a great vision for creating and establishing a very healthy company, I should say, Janardan. So talk to our viewers about some of the use cases that are here and now. So if I'm a health tech company, if I'm a, let's say, hospital or a doctor or in that business, what are the use cases that you and 101GenAI have that I could use out of the way?
Definitely. So before getting to the use cases, I'll maybe explain like how people use our platform, and then we'll get to the use cases, right? So we are a platform company. Very early, we took that we will not build a point solution. That means we are not focusing on one specific problem. Instead, we are taking a platform approach, right? So what we have on our platform are building blocks. We call it Health AI in a Box, using which anyone can build any workflow. It could be a health tech entrepreneur building something, a healthcare professional, it could be a life sciences professional who could build something, right? So it's a platform, right? Not a point solution, not an application. Now, coming back to the use cases, we break it down into 3 primary categories. Some of them are clinician facing, some of them are patient facing, and some of them are administrative, right? And different people use it for different purposes. That's on the healthcare side. On the life sciences side, there are like very interesting use cases, that I'm sure you and your audience will know, like AI for drug discovery, AI for better clinical trial patient enrollment, like AI for diagnosis, cancer diagnosis. There are many use cases that our customers build. And I'm a big believer of like using technology as an enabler. Say AI is just an enabler, and if you give it to the people with the right domain knowledge, they can do magic, right? So it does not matter what the use case is. If you give them the tools, which is all the LLMs, all the open source models, if you give them access to the right data sets, and if you give them, I would say, a right platform where they can build these agents that talk to each other together, they can come up with a lot of use cases. So yeah, like very diverse use cases. I'm about all of them. I would say most about things where it will lead to some kind of drug discovery.
Very, very interesting. So, you have a platform approach. You have all of these use cases that any company can use a platform to design. So, if you can do a double down, or how are the workflows that exist in all these health tech systems? How is your platform automating all these workflows?
Definitely, definitely. So I'll try to break it down into two parts, right? So think of it like a front end and a back end, like traditional analogy, right? So we are taking an approach where we build a so-called a cerebral layer or a cognitive layer for healthcare, right? And we are not owning the front end. Let me explain what that means. So let's say someone wants to build something for mental health, or someone wants to do something for women's health, or someone wants to do something for cancer detection, right? We don't want to own the front end experience because I would say it's where doctors and nurses and domain experts are already trained. Instead, what we do is we make their current workflows more efficient, current processes efficient by infusing AI into their existing workflows. How that happens is they come to our platform, they build a multi-agent system using our no-code platform. Once they have built these multi-agent systems, they get access to 101 GenAI APIs. They integrate those APIs into their front-end work. Whenever someone asks a question, depending upon the context, depending upon the history, depending upon the use case, the orchestrator automatically figures out which agent to invoke, and the right API gets called, right? So it sounds like magic, but it's a lot of technology behind. And I would say thanks to all the advancements in AI, it's all possible now. And people are using it very, 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 very gently, right? So yeah, like I would say, like the main platform approach is that we build a cerebral layer, which is an agentic AI layer, and then there is a front end that customers own. It could be a hospital building patient app or hospital app. It could be a health tech company building a B2C app. It could be a pharma company building it for internal use cases. Does not matter what the front end is. We just infuse, like I would say, the cerebral layer of the AI into their workflows.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm sure, Jonathan, as you went through this, right, there are multiple challenges you probably would have faced. So talk to our viewers about some of the challenges that you faced, one, and some of the core problem statements that customers are telling you that they have been able to overcome as they've implemented your solution.
I would say, like in healthcare, and that when it's not something we realized while we were doing it, even before we entered, we were aware of these problems, right? And that's why maybe we picked this industry, because it's a tough problem, and then it's a very interesting problem to solve, right? So let's start with the biggest problem, right? In healthcare, the data privacy is important, right? Like the regulations are very tight, as you all know. Regulations are very tight. Unlike, I would say, any other AI use case where like people are fine with sharing their personal data. People upload their personal X-ray, and they ask like one of the famous OpenAI or ChatGPT or Gemini to parse it for them, right? That's not how the actual healthcare operates, right? So data privacy is very, very important. Hospitals are very, very concerned about sharing their data with LLM or sharing it, for that matter, with any SaaS company, right? So that's one challenge. That's like data is very, very sensitive. It's also fragmented and siloed, right? The other key thing that observed, which is, I would say, something that we observed after we launched our product and launched our company, when we started working with our design partner customers and our early access customers, started interviewing these doctors, right? I think that notion of AI and automation is a little bit perceived differently in healthcare, right? You can't tell a doctor that AI is better at this than you, right? It's not just about an ego problem. It's about the responsibility. Who takes the responsibility of the outcome? Who takes responsibility of the accuracy and everything, right? So over here, what we realize is that in this industry, accuracy is more important than full automation, right? How do we solve that problem? We have this concept of, we call it expert supervised flow, which is a technical term. In business terms, we call it expert in the loop, or doctor in the loop, or nurse in the loop, right? To give you an example, even if AI figures out that this person has this problem, even if AI figures out that this person is taking a wrong medication for whatever reason, it will not scare the patient by telling them upfront, right? Unlike a lot of consumer apps where it's a direct like consumer talk to the agents or the AI bot, right? In this case, we always weave in an expert in the loop or a doctor in the loop or a specialist in the group. At times, doctors are not who will get into the loop, right? Or maybe it's a psychologist or a physiotherapist who will get into the loop. Whoever is the expert, we always weave in that particular person in the loop. And that has two advantages. A, it improves the accuracy of the overall AI solution, and B, it also the trust in the ecosystem. And it's not just the doctors who are doing it, right? At the end of it, patient needs the right outcome instead of the quick outcome, right? And so trust is very, very important in, I would say, short term as well as long term.
Yeah, that's very rightly said. In many cases, we may not be comfortable yet talking to an AI bot about our healthcare preferences. We always want the human in the loop. So by this way, you're able to and you significantly improve the capabilities that a doctor has, or a physician has, or an expert has, so that they are very well equipped to talk to their the patients about their health needs.
Definitely. I don't know if I can add more to that. I would say, like, I'll make a bolder statement, right? So on one, I could say that AI is in infancy, hence we need a doctor in the loop, right? I'm making a bigger statement. I'm saying even if we talk about AGI, even if we talk about AI, I would say the regulations, I would say the stakes are so high that you will need a human in the loop. Even if we crack AGI, even if it's 99.9% accurate, there are regulations and there are trust issues where, like, who takes the responsibility of the end outcome, right? I think they are the kind of questions that we're having with healthcare systems, doctors, like drug discovery companies. So I think it's not just a temporary solution that while it is getting, we need a human in the loop and then we can eliminate. I think that human in the loop or doctor in the loop or expert in the loop will stay for good in healthcare.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is at least one industry. Maybe there are a few more, but at least this is one industry where doctors or experts are not going to be replaced very soon or very easily, just given the kind of regulations we have. Yeah. So yeah, then obviously, AI, and taking a slightly broader view, right? I mean, AI adoption, we see it across different industries, different industry segments, different kinds of job personas. So in health tech in particular, across the industry and across certain job personas, what is the current state of AI adoption that you see?
I would say, like it's a more pessimistic statement, Ed, that it's still pilot and evaluation stage, right? That's what I'm seeing at most of the larger healthcare settings, smaller companies. People are still doing like POCs, alpha testing, beta testing. I would say very few places. Maybe when I talk to my doctor, she takes my permission before recording the calls. Maybe they're using it, but I'm not sure whether they are using it to just collect data or whether they're using it to do the beta testing. But I would say it's still early, right? Like very few drugs have been discovered, very few diagnoses are happening there. I would say it's still in the infancy stage. But let's talk about cases where it has already delivered results, and instead of talking about generic use cases, let me be very specific about one customer that we have, right? And then we can replicate it across various customers, right? Things like building patient trust or some automation, let's say for patient onboarding or patient FAQ, is something where we are already seeing some conversion, right? These are not very high critical use cases that someone is recommending medication or someone is like analyzing a radiology report, not those kind of things. These are the cases where, let's say, someone comes to a website and have some questions that they want an expert to answer. In this case, expert is busy, hence there is an AI co-pilot answering those questions. In such cases, I would say the adoption is very high, like patient FAQ, lifestyle recommendation, recommending like what exercises to do, what to eat, what not to eat. I think those kind of things are already seeing results. Let me give an example. One customer where, like on their website, on their mobile app, they already integrated AI to answer these questions, and customers are very happy with the accuracy and the relevance and the context of the responses. And just because of that, their, I would say, top of the funnel conversion on their web as well as mobile app went up by as high as, I would say, 3x, right? Earlier, the conversion of customers buying their product was, or plan was like maybe 10 to 15%. Now we are talking about like 35 to 45% conversion, because you are able to A, build trust, B, do real instead of gathering the information and the next day someone calling and resolving their things, right? So I would say non-critical health AI use cases, we are already seeing some heavy business outcomes for.
Right. Yeah, no, good. That's good. And so taking a step into the future, all right, in the next, let's say 3, 5 years, 10 years, maybe a broader horizon, where do you see the intersection of AI and healthcare?
I would say, like, like as I said earlier, right? It's in infancy. So a lot of things are being experimental and testing and everything. I think a lot of these pilots and tests will be successful. I'm very optimistic, not just as a techie, but also as an operator. I can see potential that there'll be a lot of drugs that will be launched with AI industry. Patients and doctors will be more convinced about using AI to their day-to-day lives and everything. So I'm clear about that, right? Other thing that I'm seeing, this is where I'll maybe bring in my more technical hat, is that a lot of workflows will will be more multi-agent in nature, right? Right now, I would say AI is still solving some point problems, right? Like someone is doing something for like billing, someone is doing something for like oncology, someone is doing something for patient onboarding, someone is doing something for, let's say, like scribing. Like all these use cases are, I would say, like 100 companies build 100 things, right? The way I see the future, this is like maybe I'm putting my techie plus investor hat. If I have to place a bet on the future, platforms will have an advantage over these point solution companies, where one platform where people are able to build various agents talking to each other, and not just solving a point problem, but solving the entire workflow is gonna shape the health. And that's good for patients because it's not just that the hospital using AI only for patient onboarding, but no one is taking care of them post discharge or post surgery, right? Patients need an end-to-end support, an end-to-end like journey, enhanced with the AI, right? So that's on the patient side. On the hospital side, also, if you look at it from an administrative perspective or CIO perspective, want to have it end-to-end, right? Like from patient onboarding all the way to patient discharge and follow-up. They would want to integrate agents in each and every step of their journey or a workflow, so that A, it's efficient, B, it's also connected, right? They call it interoperability. Say these agents will become more and more interoperable in nature for healthcare. For platform companies, I would also say not so good for point solution companies because they will find it tough to compete with these large platform companies. But yeah, that's just my bet. I could be right, it could be wrong, just like any other investor entrepreneur. I see over the next 4 or 5 years that multi-agent platforms will dominate compared to point solution companies.
Yeah, that's actually a very good insight. For someone who is building in, as I talk to a lot of founders, I see that there are some people who are focused on a specific solution. But what you just said, in particular in health tech, and likewise in a lot of other industry segments, having the platform approach gives you far wider acceptance amongst your potential customers than point solutions.
In fact, I would add more to that. Maybe there's something where not 5 years, maybe 6 years, 7 years. NFX already spoke about it. It's not just about building agents from scratch, right? I see a future where these agents or building agents will get commoditized, right? So there will be like a marketplace kind of a play or apps kind of a play where I think like Salesforce is already doing it with Agentforce, Agent.ai is doing it, Hippocratic is doing it. I think at some point of time there'll be like too many agent problem, and then people will not be building agents. People will just be going to a marketplace where they'll just find the best agent or the best model for their data, or maybe the best data for their model, and they will just compose it all together, right? So future would be a platform, be a little bit more marketplace driven with trust and safety and accuracy being rated and vetted by others. And then maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, but like I would also see like marketplaces on top of platforms is the way even healthcare will.
Yeah, that's good vision. In terms of the technology by itself, right? GenAI and AI in particular for health tech. What are some of the advances in this technology that you are particularly very excited about? I mean, some that are already there, but maybe not so mature, and some that you would love to see in the upcoming technologies. And now I'm talking purely from a core technology perspective.
Definitely. So few things that I would say we are already seeing and we are all talking about it. Like I think agentic is a big, right? Where it's not just a chatbot, it's not just a co-pilot, it's not just single conversational, it's much more than that, right? So not just it's multimodal, right? It's not just one LLM, it's multi-model. That means your multi-agent systems, one agent talks to one LLM, another agent talks to another LLM, maybe agent 3 talks to maybe not an LLM, agent 3 talks to a computer vision model or a traditional predictive ML model, and you put it all together. So multi-modal is one, multi-model is another. Multi-agent is third that I've already spoken about, where people who stitch various workflows and everything together, right? Other thing that has already happened is the evals become very, very important, because going back to the accuracy, right? not every model is a right fit for every use case or every agent. Let me be very specific, right? We are heading towards a world. It's not that like you have one use case and you say that I have picked OpenAI and I'll build everything on top of OpenAI, or I'll build everything on top of some other LLM. I'm picking OpenAI because that's what like they have a first mover advantage, right? But there are a lot of, I would say, even healthcare specific LLMs coming, right? But I would say any company building on top of a single LLM will find it tough because at the end of it, it's a personality match or a compatibility match problem, right? For this task, maybe one model is better. For another task, another model is better. For the third task, maybe a general purpose LLM is good enough, right? And people will use multiple models there, right? So evals become very important. For every agent, how do we figure out what is the best model? You can't just keep on trying 50 or 100 LLM, right? And for every model, like for example, we are already doing it. We run evals behind the scenes and we recommend our customers what is the best model for this particular task. And it's magic, right? Let me give you a very recent example, which all of you tracked, right? Like when DeepSeek came, there was a lot of noise about what's going to happen, but DeepSeek became available on our platform within a couple of hours of becoming available, right? And not just to us, but not just for the developers, it became available to all our customers across the world, right? We are a global company with global customers, right? It's so powerful, right? Maybe for the particular agent, they were using some other model. I'll not name any specific, but maybe for that particular agent, maybe DeepSeek does a better job, and it just a click of a button, and you are onto a better model for that particular thing without building entire workflow, right? So that's what has already happened. Talking about things about the future, I would say people are excited about AGI. I'm also excited about AGI. People are excited about in healthcare. There will be some, I would say, specific models that will come for the healthcare market is another thing that will come up. So there's a lot more that's going to happen on that side.
Great. And Janardan, how are you as a company, Geni, 101 GenAI, how are you bracing for the future? What is your vision for the next 3, 4, 5 years based on the technology changes that you described and the industry changes that you described?
So I would say from day zero, in fact, like not just day zero, like day minus 15, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years. I think one thing that I've is that you have to keep your eyes at three places, right? One, you have to always listen to your customers, right? Which we are constantly doing with every customer. We learn, we correct, we do course corrections. That's one track, right? The second eye is on the market. Like maybe your customers are telling you the right thing, but maybe the market is moving in a totally different direction, right? So you have to keep your second eye there. And in this case, I would say in the world of AI, the third eye has to be on how the technology landscape is changing, right? So I would say it's a triage between these three things: what you are learning from your customers, use cases, the successes and failures with the existing customers. Second, what are we learning from the market? Maybe you are too focused on operational cadence and making customers successful, but you miss the big wave, which is what most of the, I would say, big enterprises do, right? They are so focused on their current customers, they miss the big wave, right? That's why startups thrive, right? So how do you serve your existing customers, give them everything that they want, deliver on your previous promises, but also keep an eye on what's the future, right? And the third eye, which is very important in today's fast-moving world, every 3 months, the tech stack is getting rewritten, not just by but with companies like Google and Meta and Microsoft and everyone, right? Everyone is rebuilding their stack, reevaluating their tech strategy or product market every 3 to 6 months. I would say all the entrepreneurs, all the companies have to be ready that what they are building now will get obsolete 2 to 3 months from now, right? Keep writing code, keep churning, and I think velocity and churn is the game here. Velocity and churn is the game. After the companies are able to do it, higher are their chances of survival. Gone are those days when you hit PMF and you sit and make money for the next 10 years, right? That's not the future now.
Yeah, so that's actually a wonderful piece of advice. I mean, I know you answered in the context of 101 GenAI, but that's a wonderful piece of advice for any budding entrepreneurs or people who want to have a startup as a founder or a co-founder in this space for a health tech company. So that's a beautiful insight, Janardan.
Okay, of course.
Yeah. So let's talk about data privacy and ethical considerations. You alluded to the data privacy part earlier. Data privacy is extremely important in this world. There's a lot of PII information, personal information that is being shared. At the same time, there are also multiple ethical considerations, right, that need to be there, in particular in healthcare. So what are some of the emerging trends that you see in these two areas that we should be worried about or concerned about?
I would, before I say anything around, I would say that it's still evolving, right? Like data privacy in the context of AI is a new concept. Data privacy was in the context of world where no models were getting trained and people were not sharing their PHI on a chatbot, right? So I think the regulation is evolving. So I'll put that disclaimer first, that what you see today is going to change, right? The regulations will change, even HIPAA, GDPR in the context of, I would say, AI regulation is going to change, right? Let's talk specifically about healthcare, right? Data privacy, data encryption is super important, right? That's one. The second is, I think a lot of big companies are talking about it, and startups are realizing it, that if there is one industry where the responsible AI takes priority over cool AI, it is healthcare, right? We have to be very responsible about the way we are capturing data, the way we are analyzing data, the way we are, I would say, using or not using data for training. It's very important. In fact, there was one panel discussion where I was with other health tech entrepreneurs. At times we talk about content, right? So I would say it's not just about putting a legal check mark that I got the consent of the patient, hence I can store that data, or I can't store that data, right? It's much more than that. I would say the future successful AI companies will be judged based on the intent of the company, right? I would say the intent over consent, where I think the DNA of the company has to be that the intent is right. Intent is that irrespective of whether you took approval or not, whether you took consent or not, you are like ethical, you are responsible with people's data. Maybe they are giving their phone number for appointment, but you are not using that data because it's a PHI data. You know what I'm saying, right? So I think being responsible, being ethical, and intent is very important till we have rules and regulations in place, right? And just like any industry, in the absence of rules, it's the moral compass and ethical compass that gives it, right? Till the rules exist, I would say companies who will win trust of the customers, in this case patients and doctors, will win over companies just playing within the legal boundaries there, right? So it's a long journey for AI, it's a long journey for healthcare, and it's definitely a long journey for, I would say, trying to disrupt this market.
Awesome. All right. So, Janardan, that brings us to the next segment of our show, which is the rapid fire round.
Awesome. My favorite. I don't have to think much then,
right? Yes. All right. So here goes the first one. What is the one AI tool that you cannot live without? And it can't be 101 GenAI.
I can live without 101 GenAI. My customers can't, but I can live without 101 GenAI. So that's one thing that I use almost every day is Perplexity, right? Like, I think it has totally changed my habit, whether I want to do a research on Arun with AI, or whether I have a customer meeting and I want to do some more thing on that. Earlier, I used to go to various tools, and now it's like just Perplexity. That's my one-stop shop. I go to Perplexity maybe 10 times a day.
Oh, likewise. I echo that sentiment. All right. So the second one, what is the biggest misconception about AI in healthcare?
I think here maybe I'll sound very repetitive, but the biggest misconception is that AI will replace us, right? And there's one code that no one knows who came up with this, but it's a brilliant code that AI won't replace doctors, but doctors using AI will replace doctors not using AI, right? So I don't think AI will replace doctors or healthcare experts, not in near future, not in long-term future. It's just a tool. It's just like a technology that will make them more productive, but not replace them, right? That will bring efficiency, but not replace them.
Yeah, that's a great one. Right. The third one, what is one book that has influenced your AI journey the most?
But I'll pick maybe the most recent one that I just finished. There's a book called Thinking in Bets. This is by poker champion, world women poker champion. And in that, I learned about making decisions in absence of data, which is very important for an entrepreneur, right? Which is like effectively every decision is nothing but a bet. It could be it sports, be it business, be it your personal life. Like we are all making bets, right? And over a period of time with practice, be it as an entrepreneur, be it as a sportsman, be it as a politician, like you just keep making bets and you learn from your mistakes and you keep making it better. But life is all about thinking in terms of bets, with or without data or evidence. I would highly recommend it to any entrepreneur thinking in bets.
Yeah. You know, I have read that book. It's a very interesting book. Yeah, a lot of things to learn from.
Yeah, same here. I totally agree.
Yeah. Right. The next one. What is the one skill that every AI entrepreneur should have?
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe you're forcing me to think now. So I'll go to the reasoning layer of AI now. So first answer is that I think ability to down a complex technical thing into a simplified workflow is something that even with AI we have to think about it, right? Like AI is given us a superpower, but if as a human being, if we can't translate in our mind without AI, without complexity, without ChatGPT, if we can't internally simplify a problem, then AI will make it more complicated, right? So that's on the AI side. If you ask me, like a life skill for an entrepreneur is something that I discovered over the last couple of years. I would say the biggest thing that an entrepreneur needs in terms of skill is inspiring trust, right? Be it with the investors, be it with employees, be it with the customers who are total strangers, be it with your partner who is supporting your journey. I think inspiring trust in your conversations, inspiring trust in your, I would say, actions is super important. Bringing it back to AI, inspiring trust with AI is also equally important. So I think entrepreneurs who build trust, entrepreneurs who inspire trust are the ones who differentiate compared to others who just play with technology.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it also echoes with what you said earlier, right? The intent here matters. So as an entrepreneur, if my intent is to inspire trust, that's how I'll start building the solutions as well. So that's very well said.
Exactly. I'll give you an example on I work with a great entrepreneur, and he used to always say that there's no line of intent in P&L, right? He always used to say that, and I always used to say that not everything in the P&L culture there is no line on the P&L of a company, right? But there is importance. I would say intent and trust is as important as a good culture of the company.
Very well said. All right. And the last one I have, that if you were not in tech, what would you be doing?
This, like, if my friends from college will listen to this podcast, they will laugh at it. But I think I'll be a researcher because I was really bad at academics. They will laugh at me, but I'll be a researcher. I love going deep into the problems. I love going little philosophical. I love working on futuristic technology. Maybe that's why I keep doing entrepreneurship. But yeah, if I'm not an entrepreneur, I think I'll be a researcher, maybe a professor, philosopher, and always had this passion for learning and discovery and working on some futuristic sci-fi problems.
Awesome. That's an excellent answer, and I'm sure that you would be a great teacher. And this episode by itself has been very interesting and very insightful. So there are a lot of things that people will learn from this one. So
Thank you. On the talking on that teacher aspect, I hope my two daughters listen to this podcast and they agree with the last statement that you said. I hope I'm a great teacher because they think I'm a terrible teacher. They hate it when I try to teach them something. But I hope entrepreneurs, and especially in healthcare and AI space, they find it useful. And thanks for Arun, planning it, and thanks for reaching out to me.
yeah. So Janardan, I will just add a last one that at home it's always like that, right? Outsiders may think you're a great person. At home you're always that that crazy guy sitting at the corner. So it's the same thing with my daughters as well. It's the same story for every family, I guess.
I would say it's a good thing, right? The other way is a very scary thing for the world, where you are a good guy at home and bad guy for the world. That's very scary, right? So I'm happy with the current state of affairs at home and outside. So, and very comforting to hear that I'm not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. All right. Thank you, Janardan. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our viewers. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Arun, and have a thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Janardan. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching.